Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and we are back and better than ever. It is so good to have you with us here as we do our post-Fabcon announcements. I've got the wonderful and amazing Mr. Daniel Tiller from our migration team. I've got the amazing Mr. Bradley Schatt from the Fabric Cat team. I've got the amazing Mr. Niraj Jafari, applied data scientist. I saw that title in the gal. Nice job, buddy. That's looking good on you over there. And of course, the wondrous and brilliant Mr. Christopher Smith, PM for the real-time intelligence team. And I'm just excited. It's post-Fabcon. There's a lot of things that happened at Fabcon, a lot of announcements that went down, a lot that we've got to be able to talk about, a lot of really good and exciting things that have been additive to Microsoft Fabric. Then some things like the GUI changes. We might not cover that, but I'm going to cover that in a video this week, and I'm curious to hear what people's feedback are, and especially if they like it or if they're looking for the way to be able to use the old GUI again. Thank goodness the Power BI experience is still there for all of us. And as far as I'm aware, it will be for a while. Here's hoping. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and let's immediately get to what we did this weekend. Guys, I'm curious. Anybody else? I had a pretty busy weekend. I'm going to start off. On Friday, Serenity had her marching band game, high school football game. I went and volunteered, manned the grill. I made hundreds and hundreds of hot dogs and hamburgers for the band, the visiting band, and also the concession stand. It was a lot of fun. Managed to make it out there to see her halftime show, and that was a really great kickoff to the weekend. Took her to Halloween Horror Nights on Saturday, and Sue and I realized Halloween Horror Nights not for us. I was done within an hour. I walked around the park and rode the rides. I didn't want to do any of the houses, but we managed to have a really good time. And then Sunday was a rest day with a whole lot of football in it, which was also very nice. How about you all? Brad, I'm going to cut over to you because no offense to anybody else, but you have the best name on the program.
I mean,
it's a given.
You're not wrong. Nicole was out of town, so I had the boys this weekend. We had a nice boys weekend. Just did a bunch of stuff around the house, all getting ready for yesterday. We had a bunch of their friends over and some friends from the neighborhood, and yesterday was the autumnal equinox, so we did a little start of fall party.
Oh, that's fun.
With the kids all run around. Nicole made a bunch of chili. I grilled some chicken and stuff, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Chicken and chili. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, I had to have the chicken in case there's people that don't like chili. You know,
I don't understand that last statement at all. But but I understand those were words that were strung together in a sentence.
They were. But yeah, it was a good time.
There we go. Well, I'm gonna stick with the pattern of guests first, and then we're gonna come back. So Chris, how about you? How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Kellen turned 7 on Friday, so we had his birthday party over the weekend.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, so he had a good time. He just wanted to invite some friends over and just hung out in the backyard, did some grilling, kind of kept it easy. Declan, his hockey started, so hockey season is getting back underway. Thank goodness, like finally, I can go back to my happy place, which is the ice rink. So we can go to, and I get to go to the ice rink a couple times a week, so that was fun. Just kind of getting back into the swing of things. But apart from that, we just mostly kind of hung out. We're packing. We're going on vacation next week, so I will be in the Caribbean next week, so it'll be fun.
Oh. That's immediately better than anywhere else that I'm going to be next week. Yeah. Brad said, seen a theme here, grilling, Dan and Niraj, don't turn red. I love that. Going to the Caribbean. That's going to be a wonderful vacation. And also hockey season kicking off. That's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun. We're going to go on the Wish. So we haven't been on the Disney Wish yet, so we're looking forward to it.
Very nice. Yes, so I got married. Chris, I got married on the Dream. Haven't been on the Wish yet. I'm curious to see how that goes. Sorry, Brad. Go ahead.
I say Chris is going to go to the Caribbean. We're going to go to Sequel Saturday. I feel like we're all going to be in the best place, like happy places.
Sequel Saturday Orlando is next weekend. So just next weekend.
Oh, I guess. And it's all the
Yeah.
same.
Well, I the only reason I'm saying is this weekend coming up, I'm celebrating my cruise anniversary with Sue, when we got married on the Disney Dream. And so we're actually gonna have a nice little adults weekend where we head over to the JW and Zach is gonna watch Serenity. So we're gonna have a good time. But the weekend after, that's Sequel Saturday Rolling.
It's in there somewhere.
There we go. Hey, Dan, so how about you? I almost forgot you last time. So let's make sure we get you in. How was your weekend?
That's okay. We all know how I am today. So the weekend was great. So Parker actually turned 19 last week on the 18th. So Saturday, we had people over for his birthday, but Saturday we had people over and I made his favorite. I do homemade lasagna roll-ups. We didn't grill. He likes the lasagna roll-ups, so we cooked inside. So I made those for the family. And then Sunday watched a little bit of TV, and then I went out and had a dinner at this new place called Summer House at Disney Springs with our good friends Ree and Chris, and went down there and had that. And go Bees! I am so glad hockey season is finally here. I've missed my Bruins. So
I've got a quick question about Summer House because I've purchased cookies from there, and the cookies are absolutely fantastic. If you're ever in Disney Springs, there's two great places to get cookies: Gideon's and Summer House. And Summer House just has some amazing. It's got this little bakery coffee section where you could get a coffee and you could get a cookie. It's a great way to have dessert if you had dinner somewhere else. How was the dinner there? How was the food? Because I haven't tried it yet. Yeah,
it was very good. The devil eggs were good. They're not as good as yours, my brother. I will say that up front. If anybody's ever had Brad's devil's eggs, they're amazing. They have the amount of pop that you want from a deviled egg. So they were good. The appetizers were good. I had a good meal. Missy had a good meal. So all in all, I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10. There were some things that I thought could have used a little bit more flavor, but all in all, I would recommend going and trying it. Our waiter, Chris, was amazing. And it's always, that makes the experience, right? If you have a good waiter. So yeah, all in all, very good.
Okay. No, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, Niraj, how about you? How was your weekend?
We did have grill, but not at my place, at a friend's place. So yes, we had fun. And Sunday morning was cricket, and then afternoon was football. Cricket was fun just because India Pakistan was playing against each other. So that was good.
Oh, that's a rivalry game right there. That's a big match. So who was victorious in that match?
India won it.
India. Okay. And
Brad,
I'm happy to hear that it was resolved within one day, because I have heard that cricket matches can last several days.
Yes.
Brad, were you at Publix when Pakistan and India played, and our teammates? It was like, because we have folks from Pakistan and from India, and it was like the biggest rivalry. It's bigger than any rivalry I've seen here statewide. But I was
so I'm gonna be honest, and I this may be a bit of negative on myself, but Gareth and I became friends, and I want to say 2011, 2010, and cricket became much more one of those things that I was conscious about because of Gareth. So I would have to look back and see when the game was played. But I don't know that I would have taken note the way that I did after knowing Gareth for quite so long, because that was truly one of his pastimes. The thing that I think is best about that is that James and I were running. We were doing a 5K over at Sequel Bits, and James is also from South Africa, and he explained the rules to cricket to me, and I understood them. And I also realized during that run that it was the first time, because Gareth only wanted to explain cricket to me after we'd had a few pints. It was the first time I'd ever heard the rules sober, and it immediately made sense to me why I was able to understand them, and I hadn't been able to before. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so we've got Fabcon. We just had it. There's a ton of amazing stuff that just came out. A lot of announcements. Let's start to roll through that. We started first and went to last time. I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to start with Chris. Chris, do you have, and you may very well, do you have a favorite feature or something
Wait,
that you
real
would like
quick,
to find?
real quick.
Oh yeah.
Before we go to features, do you just want to call out a lot of people, because we get this question every time Fabcon comes around. There's two questions. One is, are the sessions going to be online? And two, where can I find all the information? Let's go ahead and address these up front. One, the sessions do not get posted online. So unless you're at Fabcon, you don't get to see the sessions. That's just an unfortunate thing about this particular conference. But the keynotes, and this is the second portion, which is where can I find all the information, between the monthly update blog that we'll talk through a bunch of that stuff today and the keynotes, those are going to be online. So day one keynote will drop, I want to say next week, hopefully. We're getting them out much quicker this time than we have the last couple of Fabcons. And then a day or two later, we'll drop the day two keynote after that. So be on the lookout on the Fabric YouTube page for
Keynote one. I just
to come
posted.
out.
It just got posted. Keynote one was
Oh,
posted.
there we go. All right.
Day one.
Well, Keynote one is out already.
Yeah.
And then, so I think Keynote 2 will be out either tomorrow or Thursday, potentially. So be on the lookout for the other one. Thanks, Naresh. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Chris,
and it's
back
still
to you.
relatively early. Yeah, no, I love those. Please interrupt with any programming notes that you have, like pizza is great, Brad is wonderful, things like that. Also, Fabcon keynotes coming out. So we've got the day one keynote, and it's relatively new. I was just looking; it's only got a couple thousand views on it, which tells me it's still pretty early in the day from when they posted this. Thank you, Niraj, for getting that into the chat window. And again, if you're looking for anything, check out the chat window. If you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat window as well. We will do our best to be able to get to them. But Chris, back to you. What are you most excited about?
Yeah, good points, Brad. Thanks for jumping in and covering all those things too. Yeah, because it's they're always super common questions on what we get. I mean, for real-time intelligence, there was a ton of announcements around all the different things. I feel like, I've been kind of joking around here. I feel like real-time intelligence workloads are multiplying like bunnies at the moment, because we just, we seem to be doubling the amount of items that are available under RTI relatively rapidly. But we've got there was a couple of exciting things that were announced that are coming. Maps is now available in Fabric, so you should be able to see that once it's been turned on as a tenant setting, which allows you to do a lot of geospatial mapping. So if anyone ever is familiar with what Azure Maps was, you can now pull that over, grab it, and use it as a part of Fabric. So it's all included as a part of your RTI pieces. And then you've also got the one of kind of the smaller announcements that I'm really excited for. And Daniel, I know you're super excited about one, so I'm not going to say that one on purpose, so you can cover that one. But I think one thing that really kind of maybe snuck under the radar a little bit, but is also super exciting, is Azure Monitor Logs integration. So now, instead of needing to send data to an event hub and then do a bunch of work to go move data from Azure and get it all loaded into Fabric, now you can just take any Azure Monitor data, send it directly into RTI, where you can start doing event-driven workloads. And so when you combine that with some of the other features that are available, and like one of the features that Dan's going to talk about, there's a lot of really powerful things I think you can start to do around telemetry, observability data that you couldn't previously do. So I think it's not always necessarily about like the specific feature, but it's like, oh, and I've got this and I've got this, and if I put these two things together, it's like cooking, right? It's like I took these two things that were kind of useful, but now I'm able to put them together, and now I've got something that's really powerful together. And then last thing before I turn it over, because I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, is the announcement of Graph. So Fabric Graph databases are coming. Not GraphQL, not anything else, but an actual native graph engine built on top of LinkedIn's Liquid Graph will be available for you to be able to go do all kinds of graphing capabilities around whatever you're looking to do in Fabric. So pulling those all things together, super exciting. So there's a ton of exciting announcements. There's a lot of stuff coming. There's even more exciting stuff coming. So honestly, right now, I think the hard thing is keeping up.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So Chris, I was curious the maps piece, because that's super cool. Like mapping, it's not geospatial stuff's not something we get, like a question we get about all the time. But when people do want to do it, there's always cool, like it's always interesting, because it's neat to be able to put like location to data and stuff. And I saw some of the visuals from it. The map visuals actually look really, really nice in there. But I'm curious, do you know, Will those also work like in the real-time dashboards, or like where is the map experience integrated into RTI?
It's a separate workload. So think of it like anything like real-time dashboard, Power BI reports, and maps. They're three
Gotcha.
separate things.
Okay.
You don't embed them. You don't integrate them with real-time dashboard or a Power BI report. That's something you separately stand up. You create it, and then you can share those as individual artifacts for whatever you want. So you'd share it the same way that you'd share it with as a Power BI report or anything else. You can incorporate it as a part of an org app, so you can send it as a part of that application, which is like I think kind of an interesting trend that you're starting to see in Fabric is not everything like Power BI reports are not the only delivery mechanism, right? You've got all these other new action systems and consumption artifacts that you can use to leverage on top of it as well. And so it just becomes an additional thing, but it's technically a whole separate kind of delivery item.
So if I
Gotcha.
were, and we use examples like this all the time, but if I were a shipping company, or if I was a company that had freighters going across the world, because that's made a ton of headlines over the last couple of years just because of how that traffic and any backups at any of the different canals can impact what comes into ports and basically what we have stocked into our shelves. If you're a company that has real-time intelligence, typically what you would do is you would embed that in a map in Power BI and then have that be a dashboard. But now you've got this map artifact. So if you're tracking something in a particular way, you've got the functionality to be able to create the map, have the real-time systems there. That's kind of the use case. So if you were looking for this visualization of a map, where are my individual things? No longer do I have to have just a report with that. Now I can have a map visual in and of itself.
A whole map visual. And so you can also use it. One of the really cool things about maps, which kudos to the maps team. So Johan, awesome job. Hands up. Is Event House and Lakehouse integration from day one. So you can select either Event House or Lakehouse as your data source. And then you can map on top of that. So when you think of like a map, right, of like to your point, like a logistics use case, right? So it's trucks or it's shipments or it's airplanes or it's whatever. And I want to see those things moving in real time. Being able to do something like that in any other workload in Fabric is really, really challenging to go do, right? You can do some of it with a real-time dashboard, but it's really kind of limited and there's not a whole lot of things that you can do to customize it. But with maps, you get the ability to completely customize whatever you want. Like you can customize icons, you can customize shapes, you can customize everything you see. And if you subscribe it to, say, like an event stream, where, hey, I've got my event data, and when I say event stream, I mean event space stream for clarity, not event stream the product, right? But a stream of events that's coming from somewhere that's showing like, hey, here's how fast that truck is moving, or here's the stop that it's currently at, or here's the delivery, or here's how many shipments it's currently carrying, all those different things. You can directly integrate that as a part of the map experience. So I think it's really kind of, it's not just about, to your point, like, hey, I used to have it embedded. Yeah, now I have it as a whole separate workload. And I'm also able to integrate a lot of these data elements in real time, where it's just constantly showing me those things that are in motion, where I can see those things flowing along. And if I have that data that's in a lake house and I've got all my geospatial data and like all my GIS and all my latitudes and longitudes and all that, I can go see all that from my lakehouse artifacts, but I can also then marry it to say, hey, here's the stream of events that are coming that's showing me how fast this vehicle is currently traveling or whatever it is. So it's like you get this kind of really sophisticated way of looking at it that a lot of the initial feedback I've heard is like, you don't have to be an expert at anything. Like anybody off the street could just open up a map, fire it up, like click what you want to see and just drop it on a map. You don't have to write DAX. You don't have to mess around with a report. Like none of that. It's just click, drag, like point, assign, and it just shows it. And then it becomes really easy to share it externally as well. So to your point, yeah, maybe I have a video or a dashboard or a TV screen or something that's showing me all those things. So like it's a really, really cool feature. I know that the team's super excited about it too. Along with some of the other stuff that's coming.
No, I like that. So I think that answers the question. Is maps a low code, no code experience? So I would say, is it low code? Can you have code embedded in it, or is it a no code experience?
I believe it is truly no code. I don't know if there's anywhere to put code in. There might be. I unfortunately have not got to play with the feature nearly as much as I want to yet. So TBD. It is. Yeah, I believe it is all no code, but I may be mistaken. It might be low code.
Oh no, that's okay. It sounds like a lot of fun. And I've already got a couple ideas of how we can make a video out of that, and we definitely should make a video out of that. Okay, so next up, Niraj, what are you excited about? And you only have to pick one. We're gonna go through the list, and we're
Okay.
just gonna kind of let it be a conversation. But if you got more than one, you can give it. But what's your favorite thing out of Fabcon so far?
So, as you said, right, my title just got changed to applied scientist. I'm part of a data science team now, so I'm concentrating on the data science. So the main thing that I liked was the mirror database support for Fabric data agent that just got released. Now you can connect. I mean, you can connect to a lot of databases. I mean, they have a whole list of it, and then you can write the ML to SQL type thing. So you can ask in English, and it would behind the scenes the LLMs would find you the answers and get back you the required thing. So that is something as a data scientist team that I am now supporting it out, helps build it up together.
So I see Dan laughing at himself. Is Niraj a mad scientist? I don't know, but according to Mark, hey Mark, it's great to see you, our good friend. If Niraj is mad, Brad is sad. So we've got a mad scientist and a sad scientist. I don't know which one is better or worse. Dan, I'm worried about what kind of scientist you are.
Well, definitely a mad one this morning. No, I'm a happy mad. No, that cracked me up. Right after I said that, Mark put that in there, and I was like, "Oh my Lord, he teed us up." So I have a couple favorite things. The first one I want to touch on is, since Chris was speaking about it, was anomaly detection in RTI. This is really cool. I still yet to get into the details of it, but it gives us the ability to go in there and look at and find anomalous data so we could alert our business users. So to build on what Chris was talking about is if we're sending our logs, our monitor logs to this, and we have, let's just say, an Azure SQL database being monitored, we could monitor for high peak periods and low periods. Like we can monitor if we're not using our Azure SQL DB enough, and we can monitor if it hits above a certain threshold of 70% and so on and so forth. So that'll be really interesting to see what metrics we can pick up there. I'm very pleased to say that our migration assistant for Fabric Data Warehouse went generally available. I see some folks using it, right? I see a lot of folks using third-party tools. What I would like to see folks do from a migration perspective is utilize our migration assistant for Fabric Data Warehouse. And honestly, shameless plug here, with the new collation setting at the workspace level, now we can ensure that our data warehouse is at and easily set it through a radio button, which, by the way, you go check out my video here on the channel. You can easily set that collation to case insensitive and migrate your Azure dedicated pool, SQL dedicated pool over to Fabric, and not have to rewrite the stored procedures that are using case insensitive and so on and so forth. So those are.
Hey, real quick, Dan. I want to interrupt you with one thing, because these two kind of tie together. And I know we were talking earlier, like, well, who's going to talk about this? Merge goes kind of hand in hand with the migration piece, because Merge is also out there right now in public preview. But that was one of the biggest requests that we've gotten on the data warehouse side was, look, I want to be able to move this code over, but I'm using Merge, whether that's from SQL Server, SQL DB, or even from the Synapse world. So Merge is also in there. I just want to do a quick plug for that. So go check that out.
Keep going. It was the perfect segue, honestly.
I mean, Brad, if you're already talking, I'm just thinking, keep going.
Keep going.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, Dan, did you have anything else that you want to talk about for your favorite thing before I talk about an item?
No, move. Go on.
All right.
Do it.
All right. So the user interface updates are not going to be the thing that I talk about today. However, there was an interesting couple of things that got released for user data functions. So have you guys played with user data functions, by the way?
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, we've got a tutorial, the translytical task flows. It was a preview from Fabcon Vienna. I helped build that for the SQL database product group. And you use a user data function, which is a Python data function, to be able to write back to the Fabric SQL database. It's a great thing. We haven't done a separate video on those yet, but we are absolutely going to.
Yes. So user data, they're super cool, right?
Yeah.
The problem that I have is always trying to figure out what they're like, remembering what they're called. Like, are they user data functions? Are they user defined functions? Are they just, do I just call them UDFs? Like, I don't know. It's a whole naming thing that just confuses me sometimes, but that's my problem, I guess.
What's a UDF?
More
We've never
UDF.
used that name at Microsoft before. Tell me more.
So the two things I'll mention with this, though, is first of all, user data functions are now generally available. So that was announced. I want to say that was part of the announcements at Fabcon there. So if you want to go check those out, they're super cool. Basically, you get you can call this function from all over the place inside of Fabric. More places where you can call it from will be coming in the future. But you essentially get a little notebook type experience there, and you can put some code in there and call it. So it's reusable code. But you can use VS Code to do your development on there. You can build them inside the web browser. Call them from your notebooks or your pipelines, whatever you want to. So first of all, they're generally available. Second of all, there's a couple of interesting new features that have landed really over the last like month and a half or so, but they're all kind of packaged up together as part of this announcement. Hey, we're going GA, and also we've got these other new things that come along with it. But the two things were, there's some changes to the fact that you can now, there's like a test option. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can actually go in, like you used to have to go in, build your function, and then go call it from somewhere in order to test it, see what happened, figure out what was wrong, all that kind of stuff. But now when you go in and you're actually building the function, there's like a develop mode, a run only mode, and you can actually go in while you're in develop and you can click test, pops out with a little flyout where you've got the ability to put in parameters and stuff like that. And actually test your code, so you don't have to go someplace else to actually test your code. Like if you ever done this with like store procedures, like you have to go and like highlight a bunch of code and hope you got all the variables and define your parameters and all that. Well, now you can just do it all from this right inside one little nice fancy UI there. So that's kind of cool. And the other thing that I thought was super interesting about the updates was that we recently announced the ability to do asynchronous functions. So this is important if you've got stuff that's doing a lot of write operations, for instance. You don't want to have to sit there and wait for the function. Like you're not expecting a response back necessarily. So having the ability to do async on those functions is actually pretty cool too. So just they're very interesting, very cool ways to just package up code, reuse them, and there's some nice usability enhancements in there along with the GA announcement. So I'm going to
throw Mark's back up
more out there.
So Mark said, will I ever be able to call a user data function from T-SQL? And I don't know if he means the user data functions that would be presumably within Warehouse. Now the user data functions for Python, I will say this, and I think this was a last month update or it was an intermediate update that we got, but you can call the Python UDFs in notebooks. But I don't know if we're going to see those in T-SQL, but
eventually we should be able to do that. I don't know what the timeline on that is going to look like. But yeah, that should be, like, we want you to be able to use the functions wherever. Like that's why you see them pop up in like pipelines and stuff like that too. So we want you to be able to reuse that. So there's some other things that have to be put in place, but yeah, it should be there.
So that's just fascinating if you think about that. The idea that you would be able to call that Python function, that's almost like having, I mean, not quite the same, right? But CLR like functionality in SQL Server, but being able to bring that in, so you've got that to call those functions. That's going to be interesting to see how that looks for a performance perspective. Chris, please go ahead.
I don't know, but you gave Dan chills when you said CLR. He started shaking uncontrollably.
I know. I don't know if that was me or the breakfast donuts he was eating earlier.
I haven't got to play with UDFs nearly as much as I want to. And this may be a super basic question. Can they use the on-prem data gateway? Or do they use the on-prem data gateway? Like, can you access on-prem stuff?
Not that I am aware of.
Yeah,
I don't know of
I don't
any
believe so.
integration
They
with
don't.
like on-prem
Yeah,
data. No.
when I was going through it, like some of the coding examples that you have are the capability to hit different things, or to be able to do mathematical functions and then call it via notebook, or to be able to do some type of sentiment analysis. I don't think you may be able to hit a model through them. I think I saw an example like that. I don't hold me, you know, as 100% certain on that. But I know that right now there are examples for read and for write back on Lakehouse Warehouse and Fabric SQL database.
Interesting. Okay. I'll have to take a look at that. I'm
Absolutely.
like, because one of the things I think you just got my brain thinking, right? Because one of the really hard things about RTI in general is, how do you get data to push? And so what we see a lot of customers wind up doing is leveraging something like an Azure function upstream. So I was wondering if UDFs couldn't replace some of that, but I don't know. Got to look into it.
No, that is definitely an interesting use case for it. I'm not entirely certain. I think that, yeah, like I said, let me validate that you can actually make a call outside of a UDF. I don't want to be 100% committed to that,
Well,
but I want to say I thought I saw an example of that. Brad?
and if you can't, then folks should go to ideas.fabric.microsoft.com, and Chris should go send an instant message to the team that runs that.
If only we knew someone.
Why
If
would I send the message? You should send the message, Brad.
because it's your idea.
I do like the way that Mark's posted this. What is a CLR? Because that sounds like something a pirate would use. I definitely agree with you. R. You know what a pirate's favorite letter is, right? And nobody's gonna guess. Come on.
It's because we all know what it is. Brad.
Are
What is
you
it?
kidding me that you're going to answer that question? Are you
Well,
kidding
you got
me?
it. You got it wrong. It's C. They love the C. Anyway, okay.
So Brad, this
Mark
last week
said
was Fabcon. I think you might have something that you want to talk about.
Absolutely. Okay, the new format, everybody. New format. Just the second show. Working on it. So Mark says my favorite plug are shameless plugs. Well, Mark, get ready because we've got a lot of wonderful things that were announced for mirroring, and I know mirroring is something that Mark cares quite a bit about. First off, we've got a couple amazing previews. There's a preview, and make sure and go ahead and I've put this in the chat already. It's at the top of the chat. I will be adding this to the description of the video before we are finished today. But if you go to the September announcement blogs, one of the things that you will find is that we have previews where you can sign up. Make sure you click those links for Google BigQuery, for Oracle mirroring, and also I believe, well, no, I think those are the two previews. And then we've also got some additional support for sources behind firewalls utilizing VNet and on-premise data gateways, and mirroring for Azure SQL Managed Instance, which Dan did a wonderful video on this year, has gone GA. I'm very, very excited about that. There's a lot of advancements that we got within the mirroring space. And Brad, I don't know that we're announcing the mirroring preview of SQL Server 2000, but Mark may have some code that you could use if you're interested in configuring that in open mirroring. But just keep in mind, I don't.
Just want to be able to click a button.
Hey, it's our friend Jared Bradshaw. It's about time. It's about time that we have mirroring for that. Ian, thank you for joining us afternoon all. Got a reminder of way too many updates last week. Thanks. You're absolutely right. There are so many updates for us to be able to process through. I'm excited about all the different sources that we have for mirroring, because mirroring really is that easy button for being able to get data into Microsoft Fabric. Google BigQuery has been something that folks have been asking for a while. Also Oracle, those workloads, being able to get that into Microsoft Fabric, that's a really big deal as well. So
I was talking to a customer yesterday at the very end of the day, and we were talking about how they've got all this data they need to move from on-prem. And I love when people don't know about, because we kind of take some of this stuff for granted, like, because we live in this world all the time. So we're like, oh yeah, you want to do ABC? Well, let's just do mirroring to get the data over. But it's fun because the customer is like, man, I've got this huge database on-prem, and we want to be able to bring it over, a bunch of the data over into Fabric, and we've got all these ETL processes that we have to manage to do that, and like to do all of our watermarking and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, I want to move it, but it's so much work to get all that stuff reconfigured for a new destination. And I was like, have I got a story for you? If you can click like 5 buttons, then we can just do this right now. And they were just like blown away by the fact that we can just do this. And then like we started talking about it, and they were like, well, there's like 40,000 tables in here, but I only really care about some of them. I was like, well, you know what? This is fantastic. We can also just do a subset of the tables. And so I don't know. It's just cool whenever we have stuff. Like we build all these things thinking that it's going to solve a problem, and like we've all built these sort of solutions where you have to do all this stuff, and then to be able to see folks come in having no knowledge of this stuff and just be like blown away by the fact that it's so much easier to do a lot of things. Yeah, it's just fun to see that stuff like kind of come to fruition. You know,
Mark is putting on his Maui hat. You're welcome. There we go.
So one thing I would like to see, Brad, just to kind of play advocate to that, right, is we have a lot of tools to move data. We have a lot of tools to move other pieces. But when it comes to pipelines, the parts that load this, I would love to see our teams work on easier ways to move those pipelines into new components, like, for example, SSIS, or even Azure Data Factory over to the Fabric pipelines or stuff like that without a lot of work. I know we can use GitHub for some of those things, but for some of the migrations, right, it would be great to have a native first party tool where customers wouldn't need to do stuff. So that's the only piece I think we're missing. Just, I hate to be a naysayer to your great statement there, but that's
look Debbie Downer.
Yeah. Just call me Debbie or Karen.
So I'm excited. Jared's excited as well. I'm excited for more than just mirroring targets, but querying them directly from Spark notebooks. Absolutely. The capability to be able to ingest mirror sources and access them. And the wonderful thing is, at the very least, we've always got shortcuts. To be able to get them in our notebooks and firsthand. But I believe we have mirroring in notebook now as well, correct? Yes. Yeah. Because we've got mirroring sources as well as that we can access to be able to get the data in there very, very quickly. But I love how everything's tied together. I still use the same analogy with folks whenever we start out with Fabric. I tell them this is like going in the grocery store and me saying, make me something to eat. Do you want an appetizer? Do you want dinner? Do you want dessert? Do you want breakfast? Do you want lunch? Do you want something that's vegan? Clearly not for Brad. Do you want something that's steak? Yes. Do you want barbecue? What is it that we're going for here? There's so many different things that we can do. And that's completely true within Fabric. And really, the way that you start off with success is you keep it narrow, you figure out what your scope is, and you use the right tool for the right job. And then as you get in there, what you start to find is how interconnected all these services are and how your capabilities just explode once you actually get the data ingested in the format that you need to be able to get it into. I'm always very excited to be able to see that. And Mark says, I'm looking at SSIS to Fabric tool, very, very early days. That would be, wow, that'd be amazing. I'd be very, very excited for that. And
Dan looks like he wants to poo-poo on that. Yeah. Go ahead, Dan. What do you want to poo-poo on now?
I'm going to do another shameless plug since we're talking about mirroring. If you know mirroring, right, you know that when you would mirror over, it would always come over case sensitive. If you watch my video on collation, which we put out there on the warehouse, when you set it to case insensitive, your mirroring database now becomes case insensitive. So go out there, watch my video, look at the tips and tricks I share at the end there, but another shameless plug on my video because I show you how to do that with collation for your mirror database.
I imagine when Mark typed this in that we have two Winnie the Pooh emojis just back to back. That's what I was thinking when Dan said it. I'm pretty sure that's what everybody else was thinking. It's our good friend Alex Powers, 4:30 a.m. in Hawaii. I'm here watching Tales from the Field to hear about Fabcon. Can't miss TV. Alex, we love you. We hope you are having a great time. Really, really enjoy that vacation, my friend. You have earned it and deserve it.
I don't love him texting us or chatting with us that he's in Hawaii. I love him, but I am severely jealous that
It's too early to enjoy the beaches. I'm pretty sure it's still dark.
I was going to
Alex
say,
is in
looking at your
Hawaii.
shirt,
Chris is going to go on a cruise.
I think we all should go on a cruise now, or to
Well-
Hawaii. That just sounds fantastic. I'd say we hop on the bandwagon.
Well, we can't all live in a tropical location like Florida.
That
all
that
I'm
is true.
hearing is Alex coming back from a rave right now because it's 4 a.m. in Hawaii. So
Well, to be fair, Brad, he can't go enjoy Hawaii just yet. It's 4:30 in the morning in Hawaii.
Yeah, but they've got sunrises and beaches and other things. Breakfast is probably starting soon, I'm sure, somewhere.
Well, look, he's doing his part to spreading the warehouse everything gospel to every corner of the earth.
Hey,
God
I
bless it.
appreciate
He's
that.
doing God's work out there. All right, let's
I
go
expect
ahead.
to see a picture of Alex on the beach with his laptop building a data warehouse now. If that picture does not show up on our team chat or on the line somewhere, I'm going to be sorely disappointed.
Very, very sad. Okay, let's see if we can make a loop around. We've got a little less than 20 minutes to go. Chris, give me something else you're excited about from the announcements this past week.
Oh man, I don't know. Hang on, let me go back and look now. You changed Blender.
You want me to
Put me on the
pass?
spot. You pivoted really fast. I was not expecting that. I know what I know what. I just flipped over and looked real quick. Workspace level private link for event stream. Workspace
There we
level
go.
private link is super important. I'm super excited for that feature. I think I can't wait for it to go GA. I can't wait for it to have a ton of the abilities to really close down a lot of the security challenges that customers have. And so to be able to get that in event stream is like super, super exciting. So really looking forward to that. At least entering the fold. Doesn't support all sources and destinations yet, but being able to really lock down your network, I think that's just going to be a really big win for Fabric in general, not just for the RTI workloads, but for everything. Being able to get customers the ability to turn off their workload from public and keeping it all in a private workspace is going to be super, super valuable. So
Well, and the private endpoint for the workspace gets provisioned and attached to a network in Azure. So when people start thinking about how do I network with this? How do I get some of this network connectivity? Same way we've done it before, right? If you had a private endpoint on an Azure SQL database, and maybe you wanted to be able to copy data over to a managed instance, what do? You have the private endpoints. You make sure that the VNets are connected. Our private endpoints are in separate subnets. You want an application to get access to it. You got a feed that you want to be able to get access to. So it actually opens up some of that network connectivity that we've been looking to be able to bridge for private endpoints as well. I haven't played around with that a lot just yet, but I know that was one of the things previously that I had some customers that were looking at being able to get a source into event streams, but they weren't able to do it because it was behind a private endpoint. I'm curious to see now if I connect to that VNet on a different subnet, or even the same subnet, because you can have multiple private endpoints on the same subnet. If now we've got that, because it just makes sense from a networking standpoint. Now we're going to have that network connectivity. Everything's just going to flow through, and it's a great way for us to be able to secure it. It also makes sure and guarantees that all that traffic is on the Azure backplane. So that actually would narrow down the communication time between services. And I haven't load tested this, but theoretically, and I was talking to somebody earlier this week about it, could make things faster, which is interesting because if you go, we can make things secure and we can make things a little bit faster. Sign me up. I mean, that's a win. Mark makes a really great point. Laptops and sand do not miss. Jared, thank you again. Alex on the beach is not the Fabric feature I expected to hear about today. It was not what you expected, but it's what we needed, and definitely what Alex needed. Niraj, I just used a new mixed notebook for SQL and Python. The rest is that DW magic that brings it all home. I, again, love the integrations that we've got to be able to tie these things together, to be able to make the complex simple. Niraj, how about you? Do you have a next thing that you're interested in that you wanted to share?
The connecting Fabric data agents to in external applications using the Python SDK, which is in preview right now. This is good for us just because we can connect to any custom web apps or any external thing and do natural query languages on top of it through the Python. So data scientists can use it up, connecting up, getting all this data. I mean, bring the data through the mirroring part and then use web app to bring all this thing together and work on it. So that is definitely a good thing. It's in preview right now. I mean, even they show you steps in there how to do it. So that would be an interesting one to check it out.
Niraj, can you embed data agents in Teams yet?
Not the
Yes.
Fabric data agent, yes, but not
Yeah,
all of
so-
them. Some of
But you got to go through Copilot Studio now to
Studio,
be
yeah.
able to do it. But we've actually got a video that I did a couple weeks ago on this. But in order to be able to do that, you've got to use Copilot Studio. You make a agent-to-agent connection, and then you can publish the Copilot Studio agent and have that accessible in Teams, and you'll be able to communicate back and forth with that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. As a matter of fact, I've already got a customer that's working on integrating that exact functionality into place, which was part of the impetus for me to be able to figure it out and build the demo associated with it. But I'm super excited about the SDK and the capability for us to be able to get direct access to agents. Is one of the things, and I'm just going to kind of beat the drum for Fabric agents real quick as we're sitting here talking about it. Because we've got agents in Foundry, we've got agents in Copilot Studio, but one of the things I love about Fabric data agents is how much we can customize it. We've got instruction sets that we can have on the agent itself. We've got instruction sets that we can have on the data source now. And then we've got the example queries that we can use for Lakehouse, for KQL database, for data warehouse. So that way we can actually take a subset of the question, or, if it's a small enough question under 500 characters, we can take that and we can say, here's the question. This is the query that will return this answer every single time. The capability for us to customize, train that, then validate it, because we're going to be able to see the T-SQL or the KQL the agent is using every single time. Then we're going to be able to go over to KQL Explorer. We're going to be able to go to, a query set, or we're going to be able to go over to a warehouse and a lakehouse on the SQL Analytics endpoint. We're going to be able to run that query, validate the data that we're returning is correct. The capability for us to really shape those agents, I mean, we've got a lot of training we can do to make sure that data comes back. And so when I talk to people, because they'll often go, hey, we've got these different agents, which agent should we use? We could create our own LLM where we're sending a RAG pattern through to it, which is a data set. And I'll go, yeah, but here's the advantage of this, because you can shape this agent in so many different ways, and it gives you a capability, because any other place you just have an instruction set. You wouldn't have the capability to train a model specifically based off the queries you're using for your data pattern. You would use those instructions for vernacular, but if you were using them for the amount of queries that you have to send through, that's a lot of wasted space. And so it's really, really advantageous to me. It's one of those things that I look at and I go, we've got a leg up over any other agent platform. And now to have the capability to get that straight out with an SDK. Yeah, I saw that. I saw Sandeep Pawar, who's a new member of the CAT team. Love Sandeep. My favorite Twitter handle ever is Sandeep's Pawar, B-I. I mean, it's beautiful. It just rolls off the tongue. But I saw his post about the SDK on LinkedIn. He's very excited about that as well. I'm excited to see blog content on that. I'm excited to be able to put a video together about that. But yes, very, very excited for that integration.
I'm thinking about RTI data agents and the SDK capabilities that are available, right? Because when you combine some of those things together, right, you can get some really powerful solutions that are there, right? How many shipments have arrived in the last 5 minutes, right? What's been the line throughput efficiency on line 27 over the last 15 minutes, whatever that is, right? And then being able to use an SDK or embed in Teams or whatever, like put in a custom app, ask that question just through natural language in Teams, like that's super powerful stuff. That's stuff where it's like, I think that's where Fabric's got some really cool stuff they can bring to the table that allows you to really start to combine these different things together, because you can start to take these, like you were saying earlier, like you start with the one and then you start adding the others, right? When you can start to add these others, like these are just, crazy powerful capabilities. Like, and I don't see any other agent platform out there able to do those kinds of things. So I don't know. I think it's really cool.
Oh no, I'm with you. When you think about the real-time capabilities to be able to bring in that data, and that the agent is querying the data, we're training it how to be able to query the data to understand the semantics and the vernacular of how we speak and make it conversational. That's super powerful, because there's a lot of times we start out, and I will tell folks, start out with your BI model, start out with your star snowflake schema, whatever it's going to be, with the data dimensionally modeled, with facts dimension, all that. Start out as we would with a business intelligence system. But as people are able to communicate with their data, they find new ways to organize and structure data that works better for them in a semantic nature. And I think that we're eventually going to have a level of modeling that we're going to see more and more rules come around to be able to structure some of this data, because as we start to ask these questions, we go, well, logically, I need data from this table. I need data from this table. Well, if I'm asking a question and getting this back, why aren't we just writing it in this format, or why don't we get it like this? It is so powerful. But you're right, to be able to take something like a KQL database where you're streaming in that live information and be able to ask throughout the day what happened in the last 5 minutes. I mean, where else could you do that before? It's mind blowing to be able to think that we've got some of those capabilities
without spending 12 months of development effort and millions of dollars to do it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. If we hopped off this call, you and me could have a working prototype and a demo on that by the end of the day. I mean, and we would probably have time to spare. Whereas before, if we want to conceive something like this, you're talking about getting people together, developers and data folk, and putting them in a room and literally walling off the world and going, don't go to other meetings, stay here and focus on this for several days, maybe even weeks.
If we finish early, I'm going to Gideon's, or what's the other place you talked about?
The Lake House. Lake House. Is that no?
Lake House. Yep.
No.
Not
I'm thinking Lake House.
That's the data warehouse. Summer House.
Summer House. Summer House. There we go.
When did house become like a required, like end of every word?
Yeah. House, Lake House, Summer House.
Is it the new bro?
Only one of those has cookies.
Only one has cookies. Only one looks at the lake that a scuba diver stole $10,000 from Lake Disney Springs and got away by putting on his scuba gear and going into the lake behind the lake house. So it's famous now. So yeah. Wow. If you haven't heard that story, look it up. Robbed $10,000 and got away in scuba gear.
Well, that sounds worthwhile. I guess that was worth the investment in scuba gear, unless you paid 20 for the scuba gear, right? Brad, how about you? Outside of scuba gear, more focusing back on Fabric, what are you excited about?
Well, one of the things we talk about a lot with Fabric is bringing the ability for people to be successful without having to know a ton of code. And one of the primary ways that we've done that in Fabric is with data flows. And there were a few different announcements at Fabcon around some improvements on data flows Gen 2 that I thought were really interesting, and that addressed some challenges and complaints that people have had. But there's kind of three things that I want to mention here. The first is, if you go watch the keynote, there's a really interesting section in there where it talks about the modern query evaluator for data flows Gen 2. And we actually show like the performance difference between data flows Gen 2 and then with the modern query evaluator. And you see the excuse me, the actual performance is like 50% better. It's like a 50-minute runtime versus like a 20-minute runtime or something like that in there. So it's insanely, getting much faster all the time, greatly improved there. But we're not just improving on the performance on data flows, but also on the price, because one of the big complaints that we hear all the time is data flows are cool, but they're very expensive. And so there's also a section in the keynote that I would encourage you to watch. I think the data flow section was only maybe like 10 minutes long. So it's not a big section that you have to go listen to, but I highly encourage it. Because you talk in there about like the price reduction in like CU hours for some of these benchmarks that they were running, with anywhere from like 25 to like 80+% cost savings versus what we were seeing with Dataflows Gen 2 before. So cost being, not only are we improving performance, but we're also reducing the cost, which is just a win across the board there on that side of things. And then the third thing that comes into play with Dataflows Gen 2 that I thought was super interesting was the fact that you can now go in and set preview only steps on your data flows. I think this only works with files right now. But I'd love to see this expand, because something that happens with data flows, you load up a bunch of data, you apply a transformation, and then you just have to sit there for a little bit. If it's a really big data set, you have to sit there for a little while it actually applies the transformation so that you can see it. Now, if you're doing like a SQL Server source, for instance, you can go into the beginning and say like filter to the top X number of rows, and that's a common pattern that you would do there. But if you go in, you can set the preview only steps, and it will limit the number of rows that are actually being processed on there so that you can see what's going to happen without having to wait for the entire data set to process there. Now, those steps will be, I believe those steps are also ignored if you go like schedule the pipeline or schedule the data flow to run. So anything that you say is a preview step, it's not going to run in production, so that it doesn't like artificially limit your data set and then you end up with downstream problems because of that. But it's a really nice development experience to see what is my transform going to do, my transformation going to do. Is it actually going to do the right thing without having to wait for it, then go reapply, wait for it, reapply, do some of that trial and error stuff that just is a natural part of development. So a lot of good stuff on the Dataflows Gen 2 front, just addressing problems that customers have had, feedback that we've gotten on that, which is why every month when we do this, I always encourage folks to go out, log the feedback on the ideas page, go out to Reddit and let us know what's going on out there, shoot an email or an IM or a private message on LinkedIn or X or Blue Sky or wherever to anybody that you happen to know on the product team. Put them in the chat here. We take this feedback, we aggregate it all the time, bring it back over to the feature PM teams so that ultimately we can try to address things like data flows performance and data flows cost and some of these development pieces there. So lots of good stuff on the data flows front this month for people to look at.
I love that. That is absolutely fantastic. And you're right there. I saw a ton of improvements, not only speed, pricing, performance, and it's something that people love to be able to use because the WYSIWYG capabilities that you have, the GUI functionality, and you can really extend that. There's some amazing things that we both seen Alex Powers do with Dataflows Gen 2 that always make me just do a double take. I didn't even know you could do some of the things he could do, and it is just they are very, very powerful components. Faster and cheaper. Again, that's like, make it secure and make it faster. You get both of those in a statement. Normally it's a choice. And both of them, it's a win.
We're just doing both. We're doing both.
Absolutely. Now I am going to throw up real quick because I like Mark said what fabric is scuba gear made of, and the data evangelist did not miss, hit it right out of the park. It must be a mesh. There we go. All right. No reaction from the panel. That's okay. The dad jokes just don't work there. Dan,
Dan, to wrap
we got about
up the
2 minutes
show
to
here.
go. Yeah. You got something you're excited about? I was going to throw one thing out if I could, but it was going to be the MS SQL VS Code extension for Fabric SQL database. Carlos Robles and the team, they've done a lot of fantastic work on that. The GUI interface was actually something that me, Dan, and Raj were lucky enough. We got pulled into a group to be able to speak with the team, look at what they had, and be able to kind of talk about Fabric, the experience, what it looks like as a user to be able to connect to it. And I loved having that capability to be able to have that feedback, but also to be able to see that in the product. And it is a wonderful interface that really, I think, does a fantastic job of using a native Fabric way of really working with what we would be familiar with as Fabric users to be able to connect to your data sources. So once again, hats off to the team. And if you haven't played around with it, play with that one. Go for the MS SQL extension over on VS Code. Dan, sorry, go ahead and take us home, buddy.
Nope. Two things I wanted to mention to take us home. Point in time recovery for SQL DB and Fabric is now 35 days, bringing it into parity with our PaaS service, which is a huge win. We're bringing that closer to parity what you have over there in PAS, and then expect a video on this. And this is something that Brad and I were talking about. Brad Ball and I were talking about is using workspace identity now to mirror your Azure SQL database. Once again, tightening up that security with our private endpoints, with the ways we can connect and secure that. So those are my final two tidbits for this month.
And that is fantastic stuff. I really appreciate that. Real quick, I want to thank all of you for joining us today. Also, Chris, thank you so much for being here with us again. Always wonderful to be able to have you share from the RTI product group, Brad from the Fabric product group. And yes, the best coffee mug I've ever had was given to us by Niraj Jafari. Thank you so much for the Tales from the Field mug, Niraj. Thank you to everyone out there watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Be good to one another out there. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Do the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation.